Trust is one of the most misunderstood states of being. People often mistake it for naivety, for an unthinking acceptance of whatever life or others bring. But true trust is not blind. It is born from awareness, not ignorance. It does not close its eyes, it opens them. It does not make you weak. It strengthens you by removing resistance from within. Blind faith is when you refuse to see, but inner surrender is when you see clearly and still allow. This kind of trust does not come from others. It rises from the quiet depths of your own being. When one begins to walk the path of self-awareness, there comes a time when the mind grows restless. It wants to control outcomes, to predict, to protect. It wants certainty. But life in its infinite wisdom offers no such guarantee. Every plan can crumble, every expectation can fail. The more you try to hold on to control, the more exhausted you become. The moment you learn to release that grip, something subtle begins to shift. You begin to experience a trust that is not directed outward, but inward, towards your own capacity to meet life as it unfolds. Inner surrender is the quiet understanding that not everything needs your interference. It is realizing that the river of existence flows perfectly even without your constant paddling. You start to see that your tension, your anxiety, and your overthinking are not signs of strength, but symptoms of distrust. The moment you start trusting the flow, life does not necessarily become easier, but you stop resisting its movement. You stop wasting energy on what you cannot change and begin to align that energy toward what you can influence. Your state of being. Blind faith can be dangerous because it asks you to stop questioning. It demands that you follow without awareness. Inner surrender, on the other hand, demands awareness as its foundation. It is not about believing everything will go your way. It is about knowing that whatever comes, you will have the clarity and resilience to respond. This kind of trust is born from direct experience, from seeing again and again that resistance leads to suffering, while acceptance opens the path forward. Many people fear surrender because they equate it with giving up, but surrender is not a collapse, it is a conscious release. When you surrender inwardly, you are not saying, "I no longer care." You are saying, "I am done fighting against what already is." You recognize that what is unfolding before you is not separate from you. The same intelligence that beats your heart and breathes through your lungs is the same intelligence moving the stars, the tides, and the turning of seasons. To trust is to live in harmony with that intelligence. Observe how nature trusts. The tree does not resist the wind, it bends and sways. The ocean does not fight the storm. It absorbs its force and returns to calmness when it passes. The clouds do not cling to the sky, they form and dissolve effortlessly. In every element of nature, there is trust, a deep knowing that change is part of existence. When you resist that change, you create tension within yourself. When you align with it, your energy flows freely, and peace arises naturally. Trust begins when the mind becomes quiet enough to listen. The noise of fear and doubt drowns out the subtle voice of intuition. But when you sit in stillness, when you start to listen beyond the noise of your thoughts, you begin to feel the gentle rhythm of life itself. That rhythm cannot be analyzed or measured, it can only be experienced. It is from this place that inner surrender is born, not as an act of will, but as a realization. You stop trying to control the river because you finally understand that you are part of the river. There is great power in this surrender. It is not passive, it is deeply alive. It allows you to act without being enslaved by outcomes. You begin to take steps with clarity but without desperation. You engage with life fully but without attachment. You speak, move, create and love with presence, not with fear. And this is what transforms trust into strength. It is no longer about believing that life will always protect you. It is about knowing that even when life challenges you, it is refining you. Every experience you resist leaves behind tension. Every experience you accept becomes wisdom. Inner surrender transforms resistance into understanding. When you trust from awareness, not ignorance, you stop labeling events as good or bad. You simply see them as part of your unfolding growth. The universe does not make mistakes. It mirrors the state of your consciousness. What comes to you is not random. It is the reflection of what you need to evolve. Trust is the acceptance of this mysterious intelligence at work. The greatest paradox is that surrender does not weaken your will. It clarifies it. It removes the noise of doubt so that your actions become more precise and meaningful. You no longer waste energy forcing what does not flow. You begin to discern when to move and when to be still. You learn to listen to life as it whispers through intuition, timing, and subtle synchronicities. And the more you listen, the more you begin to see that what you called coincidence is actually connection, what you called uncertainty is opportunity, and what you called loss is transformation. To trust is to allow life to unfold without demanding to understand it fully. It is to stand in the center of uncertainty and still feel grounded. It is to move through difficulty without closing your heart. It is to let go of the need to know why and instead focus on how you respond. This is the kind of trust that liberates, the kind that sharpens awareness and softens the ego. It is not about believing blindly in destiny. It is about cooperating consciously with it. True trust is not an external belief. It is an internal alignment. It is not built on promises, but on presence. It does not depend on the future. It exists now, in the stillness of being. When you trust in this way, you stop falling into despair when things collapse. You start to see the silent wisdom hidden in every ending and the quiet beauty in every beginning. You start to recognize that surrendering inwardly does not make you smaller. It connects you to something far greater than the self that fears and clings. In life, many chase abundance as if it were a treasure hidden somewhere outside of themselves. They work tirelessly, strategize endlessly, and yet, despite their effort, they feel blocked, unable to receive what they desire. This is because abundance does not respond to force, it responds to flow. The river does not resist its path, it moves with the shape of the land, bending, curving, and yielding. In this yielding, there is strength, and in that strength, there is creation. The same is true for the human spirit. When resistance ends, abundance begins its natural course. Resistance is subtle. It hides behind thoughts like, I must try harder, I am not ready, or it's not possible for me. It disguises itself as logic, but it is born from fear. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of not being enough. This fear contracts your energy, and what contracts cannot receive? Imagine holding your breath tightly, refusing to exhale. Eventually, your body demands release. The same happens with your energy. When you hold too tightly to control, to outcomes, to expectations, your inner energy suffocates. And the universe, which mirrors your internal state, cannot deliver flow into a space already occupied by resistance. Abundance is not something you attract, it is something you align with. It is already moving through existence like a current of life energy. To experience it, you must become attuned to its rhythm. And the first step toward attunement is letting go of inner tension. The moment you stop fighting what is, a doorway opens. The moment you stop resisting change, growth begins. Abundance flows effortlessly not because it favors some people and ignores others, but because it responds to openness. When your mind, heart, and body are aligned in openness, abundance does not need to be chased. It arrives naturally as a reflection of your state. Consider the soil that allows the seed to grow. It does not demand, it does not question. It simply receives the rain and warmth, and transformation happens. The soul's openness to receive creates life. When you embody the same openness, life also begins to grow through you. Your thoughts become lighter, your emotions begin to move, and your actions become guided rather than forced. Resistance blocks this natural intelligence. It is like building walls around a flowing river, believing the water will obey. But water does not obey walls for long. It finds cracks, overflows, or dries up. The same happens when you resist life. Your energy either bursts out in frustration or becomes stagnant, leaving you feeling stuck and empty. To release resistance is not to give up. It is to trust the intelligence of life itself. Trust that what leaves creates space for what must enter. Trust that loss is not punishment but preparation. Trust that when you surrender, you do not become weak, you become aligned with a greater strength. This alignment allows you to see what your tension blinded you to. When you stop trying to control every detail, you begin to sense the quiet guidance of life unfolding through you. It is not loud, it is not dramatic. It is a subtle whisper, a calm knowing that moves you toward where you are meant to be. Many live in resistance without realizing it. They resist rest, resist silence, resist uncertainty. They fill every gap with noise and movement, believing that constant doing equals progress. But the universe does not measure progress in movement, it measures it in alignment. You can run fast and still move in the wrong direction. You can work hard and still feel empty. But the moment you release the inner fight, your actions begin to carry the energy of ease. Ease does not mean laziness, it means harmony. Harmony between thought and action, between giving and receiving, between effort and trust. When you stop resisting, your energy begins to expand. That expansion is the space where abundance lives. You start noticing opportunities that were always there but hidden behind tension. You begin to meet people whose presence feels aligned with your growth. You find that what once required struggle now happens more effortlessly. This is not coincidence. It is resonance. When resistance ends, your vibration rises. And when your vibration rises, you become magnetic to experiences that match your openness. Abundance is not just material, it is emotional, spiritual, creative. It is the abundance of peace, clarity, love, and inspiration. It is waking up with a sense of gratitude before a single thing has changed externally. That gratitude is itself abundance in motion. Gratitude says, I already have enough. And the universe echoes back, here is more. But resistance says, it's not enough. And the universe mirrors that lack. In this way, abundance is a mirror, not a destination. You do not reach it, you remember it. True abundance flows where resistance ends, because that is where life is allowed to breathe again. The breath of life moves freely when not bound by doubt, fear, or expectation. The mind that is unclenched allows creativity to pour through. The heart that is open allows connection to deepen. The body that is relaxed allows energy to circulate fully. And in this circulation, life becomes full again. Releasing resistance is a daily practice. It is choosing softness in moments of tension, patience in moments of delay, and trust in moments of uncertainty. It is learning to exhale deeply and say, let it flow. It is remembering that control is often a mask for fear, and surrender is a bridge to wisdom. The more you release, the more room there is for the universe to give. The more you open, the more naturally you receive. Abundance is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is waiting for you to stop resisting what already wants to move through you. Most people live under the illusion that desire alone moves the universe. They believe that if they want something strongly enough, if they think about it constantly or chase it relentlessly, the universe will eventually yield. But desire without state is like sound without vibration. It cannot travel far. Energy does not respond to what you wish for. It responds to who you are in this very moment. Every thought, every breath, every subtle emotion you carry is a signal you send out. The frequency of that signal determines what comes back to you, not the force of your longing. When you desire something from a place of lack, the vibration you project is not abundance but emptiness. The more you crave, the more you affirm that you do not have. The more you want, the more you tell the universe that you are separate from what you seek. And so even as you visualize, speak affirmations, or chase goals, the underlying state within you whispers a different message, one of absence, one of need. The universe listens not to your words, but to that subtle whisper. It mirrors your internal condition faithfully, without judgment, without exception. State is not built through force. It is cultivated through awareness. When the body is tense, when the breath is shallow, when the mind is restless, you cannot access the state that aligns with what you desire. You may think you are attracting peace, success, or love, but the energy you radiate tells another story. To change your reality, you must first change your state. This is why ancient practices begin with stillness, breath, and grounding, not with wishing. Because to receive, you must first become. Think of a calm lake. When the surface is still, it reflects the sky perfectly. When disturbed, the reflection shatters into fragments. Your internal state works in the same way. When your mind is noisy, your emotional energy scattered, the reflection of your intentions becomes distorted. The universe cannot clearly read what you are sending. But when you cultivate stillness, clarity emerges, and your energy begins to flow in harmony. That is when alignment happens, and manifestation becomes a natural unfolding, not a forced pursuit. The truth is, desire can create turbulence if it is not anchored in awareness. Many people confuse wanting with readiness. They want change, yet they remain in the same vibration of frustration and doubt. They want abundance, yet they hold on to fear and scarcity. They want love, yet they resist vulnerability. The outer cannot shift while the inner remains divided. Until your state embodies what you seek, life will continue to mirror what you are, not what you wish. The first step is to observe your energetic state honestly. Notice what happens in your body when you think about your desires. Does your chest tighten? Does your breath shorten? Do you feel a sense of effort or struggle? These are signs that your desire is coming from a state of resistance. Real transformation begins when you stop trying to manipulate energy with thought and start harmonizing with it through being. When you relax into the present, when your mind quiets and your breath deepens, your state naturally rises in vibration. You move from need to trust, from scarcity to flow. Energy follows the path of least resistance. When you release the struggle, you allow it to move freely. This is why detachment is such a powerful practice. It is not about giving up your desire. It is about dissolving the tension that blocks its realization. The moment you stop grasping, your energy becomes fluid again. The moment you stop trying to control outcomes, the universe begins to organize circumstances on your behalf. The highest form of manifestation is effortless because it emerges from alignment, not force. In this state, you no longer chase outcomes, you embody them. You no longer pray from desperation, but from knowing. You no longer wait for change, you become the vibration of change itself. This is the essence of inner mastery, the ability to hold the frequency of what you desire without needing proof from the external world. When your state is steady, your energy becomes magnetic. Life responds not because you demanded it to, but because you matched its rhythm. Everything in the universe is vibrational. Thought is vibration, emotion is vibration, even silence carries frequency. When you understand this, you stop seeing yourself as separate from what you want. You realize that the bridge between you and your desires is not distance, but dissonance. Bring your state into harmony, and that bridge disappears. This is not philosophy, it is physics. Resonance attracts resonance. So the practice is not to want harder, but to be quieter. Not to dream louder, but to breathe deeper. Shift from asking to aligning. Instead of saying, I want peace, be peace. Instead of saying, I want success, embody stability, clarity, and focus. Instead of saying, I want love, radiate openness and compassion. When your inner frequency matches the essence of what you seek, energy cannot help but respond. Desire can ignite the spark, but state sustains the flame. Without alignment, your energy flickers, consumed by impatience and doubt. With alignment, your energy becomes steady and luminous. The universe moves not because you command it to, but because you are in rhythm with it. The dance between energy and state is constant, subtle, and precise. Each moment you are sending a message through your vibration, and the universe, like an echo, returns it amplified. To master energy is to master the self, to understand that creation is not about effort, but about coherence. The power lies not in how much you want, but in how deeply you can become still, centered, and clear. When your inner world vibrates with harmony, your outer world rearranges effortlessly to reflect it. Energy responds not to the words you speak, nor the goals you chase, but to the silent resonance you carry within. In a world that glorifies speed, achievement, and constant motion, patience often feels like weakness. People confuse stillness with stagnation and silence with surrender. Yet true strength does not always roar. Sometimes it waits. Patience is not the absence of action. It is the presence of understanding. It is the deep knowing that timing is as much a part of success as effort. The one who has learned to wait with awareness has discovered a rare power that few ever cultivate. Patience is the art of trusting the invisible. It is standing still while the world rushes by and not losing your center. Most people want immediate results. They chase outcomes, force progress, and grow restless when life doesn't unfold on their schedule. But the wise understand that everything in nature has its own rhythm. The seed does not demand to bloom overnight. The river does not resist its curves. The mountain does not rush to reach the sky. Nature is patient because it understands alignment. When you learn to live with the same rhythm, you begin to move with life instead of against it. To be patient is to master your own impulses. It means quieting the voice that says, I must have it now. It requires inner discipline to sit in uncertainty without collapsing. Patience asks you to stay grounded while your emotions try to push you into reaction. When you feel anxious, when doubt whispers that nothing is happening, patience teaches you to breathe and observe. In this space of calm waiting, transformation silently begins. You cannot see the seed growing beneath the soil, but it is alive, breaking open, reaching toward light. The same is true within you. Patience allows invisible change to take root before it becomes visible. Patience is not passive. It is a conscious choice to act with awareness rather than impulse. When you are patient, you do not stop moving. You move with intention. You take each step knowing that true growth cannot be rushed. The tree that grows slowly develops strong roots. The one that grows too fast cannot withstand the storm. Many people collapse not because they are weak, but because they were in a hurry to arrive. They wanted success without process, healing without reflection, wisdom without experience. Patience is the strength that keeps you steady through all stages of becoming. In moments of difficulty, patience protects your energy. Anger drains you, frustration burns you, and worry scatters your focus. But patience preserves your inner stillness. It turns chaos into clarity. When you face obstacles, being patient doesn't mean ignoring them. It means facing them without panic. You observe, adapt, and allow life to reveal its lessons at the right time. Every challenge carries its own rhythm of resolution. The one who forces the outcome often disrupts the natural unfolding, but the one who waits with calm trust learns more, endures more, and transforms more deeply. Patience also builds resilience. The longer you endure without breaking, the stronger your spirit becomes. Every delay becomes training for your inner stability. Every pause becomes a lesson in surrender. Patience teaches you to trust in the unseen order of things, to believe that even when nothing appears to be moving, something essential is taking shape beneath the surface. It shapes your character more than success ever could. While others chase quick rewards, you build endurance. While others burn out from haste, you learn the quiet power of persistence. There is a silence that comes with patience. A silence not of emptiness, but of fullness. In that silence, you begin to hear your own intuition more clearly. The noise of fear fades, and your inner vision strengthens. When you no longer rush, you begin to see things as they are, not as your impatience imagined them to be. You begin to notice the subtle patterns in life, how everything connects, how one delay leads to a deeper lesson, how every waiting period refines your awareness. Patience turns waiting into wisdom. Many people think strength comes from movement, but in truth, strength often comes from stillness. It takes more power to remain calm in chaos than to act in panic. It takes greater courage to wait than to flee. Patience is what holds the mind steady while the storm passes. When the mind is patient, the heart becomes peaceful. When the heart is peaceful, decisions become clear. When decisions are clear, the path opens effortlessly. This is how patience transforms strength into serenity, by turning pressure into presence. Patience is a spiritual discipline. It teaches humility because it reminds you that you are not the master of time. It teaches faith because it asks you to trust in what cannot yet be seen. It teaches surrender because it frees you from the illusion of control. True patience is not about waiting for external change. It is about transforming internally while you wait. It is choosing calm over chaos, trust over tension, faith over fear. When you embody patience, you stop chasing and start allowing. You begin to understand that every stage of your journey has meaning. The delays, the pauses, the rejections, they are not punishments but preparations. Each moment of waiting refines your strength, your understanding, your alignment. Patience sharpens your perception of what truly matters. It teaches you that sometimes the greatest progress happens in the moments when nothing seems to be happening. Patience is not weakness, it is mastery over self. It is a quiet endurance that no storm can shake, a gentle strength that outlasts force. Those who cultivate patience move with a power that is invisible yet unshakable. They do not compete with time, they collaborate with it. They understand that what is meant for them will never require rushing, and that true strength is not measured by how fast you move, but by how deeply you can wait. There is a profound intelligence woven through all things. A rhythm, a silent pulse that speaks in energies, not in words. The universe listens not to our complaints or demands, but to the frequency we emit. Gratitude is that frequency. It is the purest, most harmonious vibration that connects us to the source of all creation. It does not need to be spoken loudly. It is felt, radiated, and received by everything around us. When a person begins to live in gratitude, they begin to communicate fluently with the universe because gratitude is its natural language. Gratitude is more than saying, "Thank you." It is a state of awareness, a deep recognition that even in imperfection, there is perfection. Even in struggle, there is guidance. Even in stillness, there is movement. It is easy to be grateful when everything flows smoothly, when achievements come, and when life feels aligned with desire. But true gratitude emerges when things do not go as planned, when doors close, when silence replaces validation, and when one must face the lessons disguised as losses. To feel gratitude even then is to say to the universe, I trust you. That trust is what transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. When the heart is filled with gratitude, it no longer focuses on what is missing. It begins to perceive abundance where scarcity once lived. It sees the gift in each moment, no matter how small or transient. Gratitude turns the act of breathing into a celebration, the rising of the sun into a reminder of renewal, the simplest meal into communion. This shift in perception alters the energy field of the person who practices it. They stop chasing fulfillment and start radiating it. The universe, being a mirror, reflects this vibration back with experiences that match it. Gratitude is not only a reaction to life's blessings, it is the cause of more blessings to come. Those who walk the path of inner mastery understand that gratitude cannot be forced. It must be cultivated through awareness. The mind, by nature, tends to compare and desire. It tells stories of what could be better, what is lacking, what went wrong. But the heart, when it opens, sees differently. It does not calculate its experiences. It feels the miracle of being alive, of having breath, of being able to observe, to learn, to evolve. Gratitude lives in that awareness. It is a gentle but constant reminder that life itself is the greatest gift, and that every moment, whether joyful or painful, carries within it the possibility of awakening. In the teachings of balance and mindfulness, gratitude is seen as a stabilizer. It calms the restless mind and grounds the spirit in the present. When one practices gratitude daily, even silently, the internal storms begin to quiet. The thoughts lose their sharpness and emotions find harmony. The body relaxes, the breath deepens, and energy begins to flow without resistance. This state of energetic alignment is what many call peace. But peace is not something that comes from outside. It arises when the energy of resistance dissolves, and gratitude is one of the most powerful dissolvers of resistance. Consider how energy responds to emotion. When anger or fear dominates, the energy constricts, it becomes heavy and stagnant. When gratitude arises, energy expands, becomes lighter, more fluid. It begins to circulate naturally, clearing channels within both body and mind. That circulation is what brings vitality and clarity. It allows intuition to speak more clearly and decisions to flow with ease. Gratitude opens the gateways of perception, helping one see beyond illusion and ego. It connects the individual frequency to the universal rhythm. Many people spend their lives asking for signs, waiting for the universe to show them a path. Yet the path often appears when one starts acknowledging what already exists. Gratitude turns confusion into direction. It does not beg for what is missing, it amplifies what is present. And the more one appreciates, the more reasons for appreciation appear. This is not coincidence. It is energetic law. The universe responds to the frequency of the heart, not the words of the mind. In silence, when all outer noise fades, the language of the universe becomes clear. It does not speak in sentences, but in sensations, synchronicities, and subtle feelings. Gratitude tunes the inner ear to this frequency. It transforms random events into meaningful connections. It makes the unseen visible and the ordinary sacred. When gratitude becomes one's natural state, there is no longer a need to control. Life begins to flow effortlessly, like water following its course through the landscape of existence. Gratitude is also a purifier. It cleans the energy of resentment, regret, and fear. It softens judgment, replacing it with understanding. It bridges the gap between the self and the world. When one feels grateful, separation dissolves. The individual realizes that everything, every person, challenge, and moment plays a role in the grand design. This awareness is liberation. It ends the internal struggle against what is and opens space for acceptance. In that acceptance, transformation occurs naturally. Every breath, every step, every heartbeat is a silent conversation with the universe. Each moment offers a choice to resist or to receive, to complain or to appreciate. Gratitude is the act of choosing to receive. It is saying yes to the present moment, no matter its form. And in that yes, the universe hears an echo of itself. Harmonious, expansive, eternal. When a person lives in gratitude, they cease to feel alone. They sense the interconnectedness of all things. The wind, the earth, the people they meet, the challenges they face. Everything becomes a reflection of a single truth. Life is not happening to you. It is happening for you and through you. Gratitude opens that truth like sunlight breaking through clouds, revealing that every experience, pleasant or painful, is part of the same divine language. the language through which the universe speaks. In the chaos of modern life, the mind has become like a restless ocean, waves of thoughts, distractions, and desires constantly crashing against the shore of awareness. People chase knowledge, chase success, chase peace. Yet the more they chase, the further they drift from the truth that what they are seeking is not found in motion, but in stillness. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the space where life reveals its deepest intelligence. It is not a pause in the journey. It is the very ground from which all movement arises. When the mind grows quiet, the world does not disappear. It becomes clear. Every answer you have ever looked for begins to surface naturally from the silence that exists beneath thought. Stillness is not something to be achieved. It is something to be remembered. Beneath the constant noise of thinking lies a vast space of awareness that has always been there, patiently waiting. But the human tendency is to identify with the surface activity, the emotions, the reactions, the opinions, and to forget the deeper stillness that observes them. This is why so many suffer without understanding the cause. They are trapped in movement, addicted to noise, enslaved by the compulsion to do. Yet stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means doing with awareness, moving without agitation, speaking without disturbance. When you learn to rest in stillness, you do not withdraw from life. You meet life more fully. The ancients understood this long before modern philosophy tried to explain it. The Shaolin monks, the sages, the mystics, they all practiced the same discipline. Returning again and again to stillness, they understood that wisdom is not acquired through accumulation but revealed through quietness. In silence, you do not add anything new. You uncover what has always been true. The mind becomes like a mirror. When it is still, it reflects everything clearly. When it is disturbed, the reflection is distorted. Many people try to fix the reflection, to change the image they see in the world, not realizing that clarity does not come from rearranging the reflection but from calming the mirror itself. In stillness, energy gathers. What seems like inactivity is actually the most potent form of activity, the alignment of your inner forces. The same way a bow must be drawn back before the arrow can fly forward, stillness is the drawing back of the mind before precise, effective action. Without stillness, action becomes wasteful, scattered, reactive. With stillness, every movement carries purpose and precision. It is the quiet before the strike, the pause before the sound, the breath before the word. This is why those who act from stillness often achieve without struggle. Their energy is unified, their intention clear. The world teaches people to speak, but rarely to listen. To listen not only to others, but to the deeper voice within. That voice does not shout, it whispers. It cannot be heard through noise, but only through stillness. Infinite wisdom speaks in silence, and to hear it, one must first become silent enough to receive it. Every great discovery, every timeless insight, was born not in the noise of the crowd, but in the solitude of still reflection. The artist, the philosopher, the monk, the scientist, all find truth when the world fades and stillness takes over. The reason stillness connects you to wisdom is because it removes the barrier of self. In silence, there is no ego demanding recognition, no fear asking for security, no thought dividing the world into right and wrong. There is only awareness, pure, spacious, alive. When the mind quiets, it becomes attuned to the natural intelligence of existence. You begin to notice patterns that were once invisible, connections that transcend logic. You start to understand without needing to think. This understanding is not intellectual, it is intuitive, like knowing without reason. The river does not argue with the rock, it flows around it. The sky does not resist a storm, it allows it to pass. Stillness teaches this same wisdom, the ability to act without resistance, to move without friction, to be present without tension. Yet, to reach the stillness, one must first confront the internal noise. The constant restlessness that insists on distraction. It is not easy to sit quietly and face your thoughts. It is not easy to feel the pull of your emotions and remain unmoved. But the discipline of stillness is not about fighting the noise, it is about allowing it to dissolve through awareness. You do not silence the mind by force, you allow silence to emerge by observing the mind without judgment. Gradually, the waves calm, the surface smooths, and beneath it, a deep serenity reveals itself. Stillness is not the end of thought, but the space in which thought becomes transparent. It is the ground where clarity blooms. When you move from stillness, every gesture becomes mindful. When you speak from stillness, every word carries weight. You begin to sense the rhythm of the universe, the silent pulse that underlies all creation. The heartbeat of existence beats within you, and through stillness, you synchronize with it. In this state, wisdom is no longer something you seek outside yourself. It flows through you as you. To live from stillness is to live from the center. The storms may rage, the noise may return, the world may demand, but something within remains untouched. That is the true power of stillness. It cannot be disturbed by circumstance because it does not depend on circumstance. It is the quiet confidence of the mountain, the patient wisdom of the ocean depths, the unshakable awareness that knows the waves will rise and fall, but the water remains.